Next week will mark the end of a 30-plus year career in education for a Covington County elementary educator. The school couldn't let her go without showing her how much she's meant to the students, teachers, and community. Tonight, for the first time, your WDAM7 and TEC Golden Apple Award winner is a principal. Let's meet her. Well, last week, William Carey University coaches and representatives were on the legislative floor being recognized for their athletic achievements. And this week, WCU is bringing another accolade to the Pine Belt, ranked second for best colleges in Mississippi. Our Delaney Dukes tells us more about the recognition. Now, our state reporter asked Chairman Johnson if they considered scrapping the changes to the PERS board and leaving the freeze on the employer contributions. That was a discussion, but many members said they couldn't vote for that bill number after all the calls that they received. Now over to our first alert weather team. Nick, it started off a little chilly, a little cloudy this morning, but it turned into a beautiful day across the Pine Belt. What can we expect when we go to our morning commutes? Now over to our first alert weather team. Hannah, I had my heat on this morning, my air this afternoon, but you know what I did not have on, and that's my windshield wipers. What's that weather looking like headed up to Thanksgiving?
That's pretty much what we're going to be seeing for at least the next couple of days.
It is a sad day here in Lucedale for not only the people that live in the area, but the law enforcement here and in surrounding areas. Just before we went live here, there was a trail of 8 to 10 with multiple agencies and their vehicles headed down the highway, sirens full blast, in support of a George County deputy that was shot and killed after performing a traffic stop just after 5 today. The shooter then took multiple agencies on a chase that led outside of the county, where the shooter was shot and killed near Beaumont.
I think it's been pretty funny watching some of the cars come by. You can tell who's been active this morning and who's just now kind of getting started today with some of the ice that's still wrapped around some of these vehicles. But despite those vehicles and despite this icy scene you see behind me on the side of Wells Fargo, that is not the case for the rest of the area. It's actually pretty clear. Hey, good afternoon, Pine Belt. Look, if you needed evidence on what the weather is like, just step outside for a second or just watch my jacket through this live shot and you can see how the wind is still blowing, but maybe not as hard as last night. You can see evidence of that right here with the steeple at Central Christian Church in downtown Hattiesburg is not in its normal resting spot atop the church. It is here in the front lawn. If you can take a look at the end of the steeple, you can see the tip where it struck the ground and it cracked the concrete and it broke off here. Now people are here at Lions Club Park. We got the festivities going. The splash pad is here. There are tons of vendors and even a cornhole tournament you see behind me, whose action was just way too good for me not to get in on. Let's see what I got. I knew I shouldn't have had that popcorn. But the festivities are far from over.
You really think that a 16 or 17-year-old needs to be reading that?
It was a passionate discussion inside of the Columbia Marion County Library, where people learned that 12 young adult titles were to be removed.
This is an attempt to restrict access to certain books by the minor children in Columbia, Mississippi.
Last month, a group of neighbors met with the library's Board of Supervisors about the content found in one of the novels in the Heartstopper series. From that meeting, the group requested supervisors to review several other books available at the library.
We understand the country we live in, and people have a right to read what they want to read. However, there is age appropriateness.
Dave Nichols attended that August meeting. Here, he brought an example of how easily he says a 15-year-old accessed the book just this week.
She got her card, went to the adult section, checked out this book that was graphically, very graphically, I'm not going to repeat on air what it said, but she was able to check it out and take it home.
A majority of the room agreed with Nichols on the board's decision to remove those 12 titles, but some had a different perspective.
This significantly affects my life as a lesbian living in Mississippi.
Emily Escalus is an advocate for LGBTQ+ rights and agrees that there should be some sorting system in place.
Just looking at what we're putting in front of our youth, we need to pay attention to that.
But Escalus says, regarding some of the young adult content, people should keep an open mind.
We do have to be very careful not to recreate the history that we have survived barely, that we must have balance in our government, in our decisions, and representation of all people.
I usually keep a change of clothes in my van because by the end of the day, they're soaked pretty good.
Packing a few extra shirts is part of the morning routine for Tim Johnson as he starts his day as an HVAC technician. A good idea since he spends a lot of time inside of attics with poor air circulation. And with temperatures hitting the triple digits across South Mississippi,
113, 114 right in there.
The sweat can start to flow pretty quickly.
Probably 5 minutes. It don't take long.
Johnson has been a technician for 8 years, and he says working in extreme heat is part of the job that never gets any easier.
I would say you get used to it, but you don't ever get used to it. You just learn different ways to tolerate it, and you learn your limitations on the heat.
I'm here inside of the attic where Tim has been working, and as you can tell by my face, it is pretty hot. He's been here 3-4 times. He would go down in maybe 10-15 minute intervals and just take a break, cool off, grab some water, because temperatures here have gotten as high as 140 degrees. Right now it is sitting around 120, 121. That's the cooler side. So Tim, he's been going down, making sure he has enough water in his system, making sure he gets some of that breeze outside, because he says you never can stay too hydrated.
You got to take breaks or you'll end up collapsing, and that'll be a wrap for you.
A lesson Johnson learned the hard way early on in his career.
I had a heat stroke 4 years ago because I overdid it. I've got a bunch of friends that have done the same exact thing.
Because of the high heat mixed with the stuffy conditions of the attic, Johnson says escaping for a few minutes into the blazing sun is almost refreshing.
When you're on an attic install and you're up there for 2 or 3 hours at a time and it's 130 plus degrees, when you start to walk down that stairwell coming out of the attic, it's almost like walking into air conditioning and it'll be 90 degrees.
Working conditions for HVAC techs can be taxing. A realization that is not lost on Johnette Pierce.
They just work really hard and do just a great job, and they really don't get enough exposure, for what they do.
Air conditioning repairs are required daily, no matter the time of day, highlighting the impact these workers make on their communities.
These guys are super important to all of us. We all want to be cool. We can't be cool without HVAC guys.
In Hattiesburg, Trey Howard, WDAM-7, on your side.
The ceremony that you are about to witness is an Army wreath laying ceremony to be conducted by Clara School.
I was very emotional. I had no idea they were going to say Clara School. When they said our school, I was like, those are my babies walking out there.
On a trip to Washington, D.C., Naomi Atkinson and a group of students from Clara School in Wayne County made a stop at Arlington Cemetery to present a wreath to the unknown soldier's tomb.
Made me feel like a little special, because like I'm one of 4 out of like 40 something. That's a big deal, like a wreath and all that.
Bryson Collins is one of the students who jumped at the opportunity to make the near 18-hour bus ride, and he talked about his experience in the nation's capital.
It was good, just a lot of walking and all the touring. It was all good. We seen a lot of stuff that happened in the past, but like all the fighting and the wars and stuff.
I think it just opened up history and made it come alive.
Atkinson says the close look at the cemetery put things into perspective for the students.
Seeing the rows and rows of headstones of everyone that's fought for our country, it was just astonishing to them.
The group also visited other areas like the Smithsonian and Mount Vernon, where they placed themselves in the shoes of people they had seen there before.
We visited the inside of the Capitol, and we related it to movies they'd seen that took place inside the Capitol.
In Wayne County, Trey Howard, WDAM-7, on your side.